Welcome to another Horse & Co tutorial with Storm. This is part 2 groundwork. What we're going to do with our groundwork today is we're going to use a longer rope and we're going to use less rope. You'll notice that we're not going to be pulling on the rope as much as what we did in part 1. Just like to note, this is Storm's first day with a rope this long. So the first exercise we're going to do is forwards and backwards. Same quadrants as before. Throughout this tutorial, you'll get a view from my view. At the moment, I'm using my hands and body to move Storm, not the rope. You'll see more of how this is done in the next tutorial, where Storm does his groundwork at liberty. In the next tutorial, part 3, it won't just be at liberty, but you'll get a different view and you'll be able to see more of what my body's doing rather than more of what the horse is doing. Now let's look at a little bit of front passing, remembering we don't want to get too close to him and we want to use as less rope as possible and push rather than pull. Because our next tutorial we're going to have no rope on at all. Now we're just going to gently ask on quadrant 2. If you have trouble following what quadrants we're pushing, then please watch Groundwork Part 1, where the quadrants will be explained. At the early stages of the groundwork, we're just really looking for 1 or 2 steps with the front passing. After you do a front pass, then you can do a disengage of quadrant 4 to straighten him back up again. If he doesn't move, I move in a little bit closer, just slowly, a little bit closer, keeping my pressure on 4, giving him the chance to move, moving in and then backing off. So just repeating now what we did on the other side, on the opposite side. Front pass across, apply a little bit of pressure, quadrant 2. Ask for quadrant 2 to move across. If he moves backwards, I follow and ask, continue to ask a little bit. If that bum comes out, disengage quadrant 4 on the opposite side, push quadrant 2 again to get the front pass. If he goes backwards, keep asking and release. Now we're going to do a bit of side passing. We're going to front pass over and then ask to move sideways. Pushing one quadrant at a time, and the quadrant I need to move at any one time. So I give a signal, I wait for a response, and I correction if I need to. And then release. Now repeating on the opposite side, front pass across, ask to move sideways, a little bit of quadrant 1, a little bit of quadrant 3. Ask again, quadrant 2, push quadrant 2 across, continue to ask. Quadrant 1, quadrant 3. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, release. Right, going again on the other side, start as far away as I can, move in a little bit closer if I have to, push quadrant 2, push quadrant 2, a little bit of quadrant 1, a little bit of 3, a little bit of 1, a little bit of 3, and release. Now side passing on the other side, push quadrant 2 across. Quadrant 2 across, if it continues to go forward a little bit, we use quadrant 1, be a bit firmer, quadrant 1, quadrant 3, quadrant 1, push on 3 and 4, and release. Asking again from that same side, see if we can get it a little bit better this time. Quadrant 2, quadrant 1, quadrant 2, 3, 1, 1, 1, 4, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 4. Release. Now we're going to have a look at a little bit of lunging. Push quadrant 2 across, guide with quadrant 1, push with quadrant 5. Just guiding with quadrant 1, pushing with quadrant 5. You'll notice on his lunging that he has trouble with one part of the circle. That's going to make it tricky with the next tutorial. I'm going to continue to keep asking him to go past that tricky spot right here where he's trying to pull away a little bit. Keep asking him to go around. Ask him to go around. He can keep going. He still hasn't got it quite right. Push him out a bit. Quadrant 3. Quadrant 1, guide him round. Quadrant 5, keep him going forward. I'll just ask him to move off again. Quadrant 2, guide quadrant 1. Drive from quadrant 5, because we didn't quite get what we were looking for, so we're going to ask him to move out again and have another go at it. It's important sometimes to take baby steps. There we got, even though it was at a walk, I got sort of what I wanted in the direction that I wanted. So I'm going to release. Now that we sort of got what we wanted before we released, I'm going to ask again, and I'm going to put a bit more pressure on this time. I'm going to guide around quadrant 1, drive of quadrant 5. Quadrant 1, quadrant 5 to keep him going forwards. Still a bit heavy. We'll keep him going around. Quadrant 5, quadrant 1. Ask him to come round, push on quadrant 5. Keep him going around until we get what we want. Quadrant 5. Quadrant 2, push him out again. Quadrant 5, push him forwards. Ask him up into the trot again. Push him out on quadrant 3. Quadrant 1 around. Still having trouble getting around that corner, so we're going to ask him to go again. Push him out. Right, we're going to release now and just give him a little break, and then we're going to ask him to do it again and see if we can get it a little bit better. Even if it's not perfect, we need to get it a little bit better than what we just did. Ask him to go out, a little bit on quadrant 1 and 5. I want him to be a little bit lighter on the head as we come around the corner here. Just very lightly, keep the drive going forward, but lightly on the head. Not perfect, but a lot better. And release. Just ask him to go one more time past that corner. Got a little bit of a trot in there, a little bit lighter on the head, and then down to a stop. And release. Now we're just going to ask him to do the same thing but on the opposite side. Quadrant 2, quadrant 5. And again ask quadrant 1, 5. Push a little bit on 3. A little bit more on 5. Asking him up into the trot. What I'm going to do here is just work on his transitions from walk to trot, trot to walk, off voice command, just to finish off today's lesson. This brings us to an end for today's lesson. I will cover more with lunging in following tutorials, just to cover body position, which is very important when it comes to riding bareback and bridleless.